Hi, I'm Cass. Welcome back to another video. Now today is going to be my June reading wrap up, and I will be honest, June was not great in terms of reading. I only read 5 books, but I'm not even going to be wrapping up 5 books because I realized I accidentally wrapped up the Kiss Quotient in my last wrap up. So if you want to hear my thoughts about that, go to my May reading wrap up, because for some reason I thought I read it in May, but it was in fact in June. So I'll only be talking about 4 books in this vlog. It was a rough month. I was very busy, being social, doing stuff, and I just did not find the time or energy to sit down and read. However, the books I did read, mostly I enjoyed. But let's go ahead and just start talking about it. Starting with the first book, which is Aragon. Now, I will have an entire vlog up in the near future talking about why in particular I picked this book up and talking about my thoughts throughout the book. However, to sum it up, I don't know why the heck I never picked this up as a kid. I remember seeing it as a child, and I just never actually went and read the books, which is crazy because as a kid I was trying to read like the thickest books possible, and the Inheritance Cycle, it's a bit chunky. I borrowed this from my library and I didn't think I would want to annotate it, but now I wish that I didn't have this from the library and I actually bought it, because I would have absolutely loved to annotate it, because the world building and how the politics are working and the characters and the foreshadowing is just so well written. Honestly, I'm very impressed that this is Christopher Paolini's debut novel, because it's insane. Now, is the main character a little bit dumb? Yes. Does he learn from his mistakes? Not always. Now, Saphira is such a sassy little dragon, and I adore her. I adore the characters that Aragon traveled. I'm trying not to spoil. I enjoyed the characters Aragon traveled with. Both the first one, even though I was like constantly suspicious of him, and the second guy, and the ending left off in a very interesting place, and I'm very excited to read more. Now, my friend who recommended me this book, they said that the second book is mostly war, which I don't know how to feel about, because war scenes in books bore the shit out of me. Like, case in point, Kingdom of Ash. I just wanted that book to end. Court of Wings and Ruin, that whole war scene at the end, I was just like, all right, we get it. They're fighting, they're stabbing, they're murdering. I get it. But hopefully I enjoy it. We will see. I do want to read it pretty soon here, actually. I want to pick it up within the next week. So that is my thoughts on Aragon. I did give it a 4.5, and I'm excited to continue diving into the Inheritance Cycle series. I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy the rest of them. The next book was also recommended by the same friend that recommended me the Inheritance Cycle, and it was Diary of an Oxygen Thief. It's written by Anonymous, and I 2-starred this. I honestly went between 1 and 2 starring, but I ultimately ended up giving it a 2-star. Essentially, it tells the story of a very narcissistic, sexist man and how he likes to destroy women, basically. So he entertains himself by, I guess, courting these women, making them fall in love with him, and then just acting like an absolute bitch. And it's supposed to be his lesson learned because karma gets him, basically, and a girl does the same thing to him, and then he understands how all those women felt. But I was intrigued simply because the first line in the book reads, "I liked hurting girls," and it was just fascinating to see where the story was going, except for I feel like the main character didn't really learn and didn't really grow, and I don't know. I think this is supposed to have some sort of message, but instead it just came off as someone who was very sexist and very full of himself, and I just didn't like where the book led to, and I didn't like the ending, and luckily it was a tiny 151-page book, so I didn't waste my time for too long. But I was intrigued for the first 30 pages, and then the other, 121 just weren't it. I was so bored with the ending, and there was just nothing that came. There was no resolution. There was just ick. Just ick. Left a very bad taste in my mouth. So, 2-starred, Diary of an Oxygen Thief. Next, I did a 24-hour readathon with Katie over at Katie is Reading. Now, that also will be up on my channel in the near future. I have a lot of vlogs from last month that I started filming and just haven't edited, but that's besides the point. The point is, I wanted to read a bunch of fun, standalone, cute romance books. Now, a bunch was 5. I wanted to read 5. I read 2. So, set the bar high, achieve low. That's what I'm saying. But the problem with this readathon was that I started with such a good book, and that was The Spanish Love Deception. Now, I absolutely adored this book. I loved the banter. I used all of the pink tabs that came on like a little post-it tab thing I bought at Walmart, and luckily I had a second one because I continued tabbing it. I did get a little bit annoyed at the beginning, and also this is like quite a bit longer than I had originally thought, but I did get a little bit annoyed at the beginning just because it was very slow moving into the romance, but it's a good thing that it wasn't like an insta-love sort of thing because it was enemies to lovers, but I feel like the enemy portion was dragged out just a little bit. And, like all main characters in the enemies to lovers fake dating trope, I get a little bit annoyed when the character can't recognize that, hey, it's not fake anymore, home slice. But it followed the traditional tropes, enemies to lovers, fake dating, and the one bed trope. So everything I could have wanted, all of my favorite tropes, are packed into this book. I loved Erin Blackford. I sort of loved Lena. She's a little bit of a dumb bitch, but I still love her for that. But yeah, Erin Blackford, there are so many lines that he said, and I just highlighted so many things. I have so many pink and orange tabs, pink being love, orange being funny, and it just made my heart happy. I loved seeing them in Spain, which is like the entire premise of the book, and it was fascinating. I was enthralled by page 1, and I read, all 430-ish pages of this to start off the readathon, which then put me not in a reading slump, but just in a romance reading slump because I didn't want to pick up any other romance books because I was so hung up on The Spanish Love Deception. However, I did pick up Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Now, this has been on my TBR forever. However, for some reason, it's not on Amazon until next month or something ridiculous. So I found it at my library, and I was a little bit annoyed with it simply because I was still hung up on The Spanish Love Deception, 1. And 2, it was a high school romance, which was a little bit of a downgrade from The Spanish Love Deception. And the other problem was I went into this with very high expectations, and they weren't completely met, so I did end up getting this a 4.5. But I think if I went in with a little bit lower expectations, because I have heard nothing but good things about this book. For good reason. It is so good. But I wish I didn't read this directly after The Spanish Love Deception because I really was still hung up on that. After about 100 pages, the characters finally grew on me. Our lovely, lovely guy, Wes, who is basically helping Liz get her dream guy. I absolutely adored Wes from like page 1 because I love a good prank war, and that's kind of how you're introduced to Wes, is like not a prank war per se, but just like little competitive things that happen. But anyway, this book definitely had me squealing out loud, being like, oh my gosh, what the heck just happened? And I enjoyed it. I will say the amount of pop culture references is a little bit excessive. I know a lot of people do love that, but there was references to movies and crap ton of music, and I have a pet peeve about authors including music lyrics in their book because I'm not going to read those. I skim over it. I do not care. So that was a little bit excessive, but it was part of Liz, who's the main character, her vibe, and she was so into music and movies. So it made sense, but it did get a little bit boring every time it was brought up. I was like, we get it. All right. We get you're listening to music. But it added to the charm of the book, and it made sense. Just for me personally, it annoyed me. But it was still a 4.5, so I had that going for me. And that is the last book. So I picked up these 4 plus The Kiss Quotient, which also was very good. I talked about that in my May wrap-up. I was just on a romance kick, I guess, with the added fantasy, and I don't even know what Diary of an Oxygen Thief would be classified as. I just did not like it, so I don't want to talk about it. I don't know if I told you that I 5-starred The Spanish Love Deception, but I 5-starred it. I'm sure you could figure that out by my raving and glowing review, but I thought I'd re-mention that just in case that I didn't. And that is it for this wrap-up. I apologize that it was so short. I am trying to make more time for reading next month, but summer has been crazy for me. I'm just playing catch-up constantly, and I keep adding things to my plate when I should be taking things off my plate. But that is who I am as a person. So please bear with me, and hopefully next month my neighbors won't be as loud throughout this video and I will read more. Fingers crossed. I'm manifesting it right now. Putting that into the universe. I'm hopefully going to read more than 4 books. But that is it. Again, I know I said that already. These outros, I always am like, what am I saying? But that is it for the 100th time. I don't know why I start ending the video and then say more things like this. Oh my gosh, it's happening again. But thank y'all so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Seriously, real MVPs up in here, watching to the very end throughout this absolute mess of an outro. If you liked the video, please do like and talk with me down below. Let me know books you read, your favorite book, or your least favorite book. Mine was Diary of an Oxygen Thief. Makes me so mad that I didn't like that book. It was such a waste of time. Anyway, side tangents aside, if you want to see more bookish or bullet journaling content, please do consider subscribing, and I really, really hope to see you in the next one. Toodles!